why the numbers on the economy don't match our feelings.
Marketplace Morning Report is supported by Bank of America. From local shops to global enterprises, Bank of America is committed to helping businesses of all sizes make every move matter. Learn more at bankofamerica.com/banking for business.
From Marketplace, I'm Sabri Benishore, in for David Brancaccio. We begin this morning with our Economic Pulse series. That's regular checkups on the economy from a range of perspectives. And today, we're talking about the difference between how so many of us feel about the economy and what the official statistics say about it. Gene Ludwig is chair of the Ludwig Institute for Shared Economic Prosperity and former U.S. Comptroller of the Currency. He's also author of The Vanishing American Dream, a frank look at the economic realities facing low and middle income Americans. He's joined my colleague, David Brancaccio.
People's lived experience tell us that the economy needs work. Yet, I end up reporting a lot of these. The headline economic numbers have been saying things are actually A-okay. Maybe we should stop whining. How do you resolve this great divide over numbers versus what we see with our eyes?
We started looking at this back about 5-6 years ago when we held a symposium to question why things felt bad for middle and low income Americans. But at the time, the headline statistics were looking pretty good. So I decided with the Institute to begin to study the numbers and try to figure out why the folks at that symposium, and in my own experience growing up in a small town in Pennsylvania and seeing it deteriorate, why is this disconnect between what these headline numbers tell us every day and what we're experiencing?
Some of it is we do the monthly unemployment rate. It is a crucial piece of data, but the headline one does not account for people who are so discouraged by the job market that they've quit looking. Sometimes the payroll count that the Labor Department does, look at all these people who got jobs this month, but maybe they were working multiple jobs.
Well, all that is absolutely true, but sadly, it's even worse than that. What it doesn't account for is people who have a piece of a job. They work an hour or two here and there, but they want a full-time job. It doesn't account for that. If they worked 1 hour in the last 2 weeks, they're counted as being employed. It doesn't in any way suggest whether the person can earn even above a poverty wage. So unemployment, as we'd like to say it, functional unemployment, it's really in the 20s, which is horrifying. And for people of color, it's much worse.
Many orders of magnitude higher than the headline figure that they hand me every month when the unemployment rate comes out.
That's only one of the headline statistics that's misleading. The inflation rate is also misleading. CPI is what it's called, Consumer Price Index, is a basket of 80,000 goods and services. But for middle and low income Americans, they use a relatively narrow group that matter to them most, which is food, housing, education, transportation to work. And if you look at the basic things that they can afford to buy, they have inflated over the last 20 years more rapidly than the CPI. So they're worse off. And that is a big deal because it means that net, their wages haven't increased over the last 20 years. For 60% of America, they've actually declined or been stagnant.
I remember we used to spend a lot of time when I was a kid focused on the misery index to gauge people's well-being. But see, that was built on the faulty unemployment number that you were talking about. It was, I think, unemployment rate plus inflation equals misery. But we need something better, I guess.
We do indeed, and we'll be coming out with, over the next couple of months, a Shared Economic Prosperity Index and a minimum quality of life measure that together will give the country a sense of how people in the middle class are doing in reality.
Eugene Ludwig is founder of the Ludwig Institute for Shared Economic Prosperity and was U.S. Comptroller of the Currency in the early to late 90s. Gene, thank you very much.
It's nice to be with you.
Marketplace Morning Report is supported by Progressive Insurance, offering small business owners protection for what they've worked hard to build with over 30 customizable coverages. Learn more at progressivecommercial.com. And by Schwab. Schwab offers investors choices like full-service wealth management, self-directed investing options, and trading on Thinkorswim. More at schwab.com.
All right, let's take a look at the numbers this morning. Let's take a look at markets here. Dow, S&P, and NASDAQ futures are all down, quite down. Dow futures down 385 points. That's 0.9%. S&P futures down a full percent. NASDAQ futures down 1 2/10%. The Canadian convenience store giant ACT, which owns Circle K convenience stores, among others, plans to take over the company that owns 7-Eleven. That's Japanese firm 7 & I. The two are in talks to make that happen, specifically to sell certain convenience stores to avoid accusations of creating a monopoly. As we just saw, markets this morning are pointing lower, and it is because investors are worried about the direction of the economy. Economic policy out the White House has been unstable, and that has made the business environment uncertain for a lot of businesses and consumers. President Donald Trump this weekend did little to clear things up, declining to rule out the possibility of a recession. Marketplace's Nova Safo has more.
On Fox News this weekend, President Trump was asked whether the U.S. economy could be headed for a recession this year as layoffs, federal spending cuts, and tariffs take a toll.
I hate to predict things like that. There is a period of transition because what we're doing is very big.
A period of transition. Last week, Trump's Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent suggested something similar.
The market and the economy have just become hooked. We've become addicted to this government spending, and there's going to be a detox period.
It's not just about government spending, though. Markets moved sharply lower after Trump imposed tariffs on Canada and Mexico. Nearly all economists polled by Reuters last week said recession risks have risen in all three countries. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick on NBC's Meet the Press over the weekend called all of this not a transition, but...
Will there be distortions? Of course. Foreign goods may get a little more expensive, but American goods are going to get cheaper.
Economists dispute that cheaper assertion. The administration plans to levy 25% tariffs on steel and aluminum imports this Wednesday. I'm Nova Safo for Marketplace.
And in New York, I'm Sabri Benishore with the Marketplace Morning Report. From APM, American Public Media.